Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we are doing a pick a card reading about what people are saying about you. I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly of what people could be saying when you're not around. I want you to connect with the pile that is calling out to you the most, and you can use the timestamps in the description box to get to your specific reading. This one should be pretty juicy, so if you're ready, I will see you in your designated pile. Oh, and before you head down, if you've been wanting a personal reading, I have something for you. Whether you're looking for clarity on love, your life path, your destiny, or specific questions like what people are saying about you, I have a reading for that too. Right now, you can get 20% off any personal reading with code CLARITY20 at checkout. The link is down below and I would love to read for you. Okay, I'll see you in your pile. Hi, pile number one. Welcome to your reading. All right, so this one is going to be I suspect it to be a very, I'm shaking the camera. I suspect it to be a very juicy reading, but we'll see. Based off of you felt called to pick the phone call. Okay, so based off of just that, I feel like a lot of people, they talk about you over the phone through text message, and there's more than one person. There's also an energy of someone bringing you up and people being really excited that your name gets brought up in conversation because then they can unload or unpack all the juicy things that they feel about you, what they want to say about you. It's one of those things where it's like people are too shy to say your name first, but if someone else brings it up, their eyes light up and they're like, yes, I want to talk about pile number one. So there's something about that. But you definitely have been talked about on phone calls. I'm also getting three-way conversations in like group chats. Also could be over DM, but it does feel like you are a very big topic of conversation with the phone call, pile number one, what you felt intuitively called to pick. All right, so I don't really have much messages. We're just going to get into the cards and see what comes out. Let me make sure I have the right decks that I want to use for you, pile number one. All right, let's reveal the cards. Let's see what comes out here. Ooh, wow. Okay. Wow. Let's see what else is here. Yeah, you know what it is about you, pile number one? People are too shy to ask you things to your face. You may have people very starstruck, okay? There could be something where people kind of like stumble over their words in front of you, or they could like prep themselves of what they want to talk to you about, but when they're face to face, there's this shyness. There's something about your presence that kind of gives like starstruck, celebrity energy, fame, popularity, even infamous energy where you're well known to them based off of what they heard and they want to talk to you or get to know you better, but people really stumble before you. People also could be in awe or admiration for you based off of these cards that I'm seeing here. And you know what? I hate to disappoint, but there's not really much juicy details here. Okay. So, for the most part, people speak very positively about you, even if they're talking about you behind your back, even if it's in group conversations, DMs, phone calls. I feel like it's very positive and people could be very intimidated by you. And I also get this feeling that people do not really know much about you. For people to really get into your business or know who you are or even unpack your whole personality, it definitely takes time. Okay, so we're going to go through these cards one by one. I have three different decks here that I'm going to be displaying to you. So yeah, let me show you the first card here. The first card is crazy, okay? You have golden ticket. So you make people feel like they're invited to the Willy Wonka factory. All right, people feel very special in your presence with the golden ticket. They feel like it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to speak to you. You may be someone who doesn't really come out much, or you have a selective group of friends or people that you hang out around. And so when people also, there's something about invitations as well. Like if you've had like a birthday dinner, birthday party, if you had an engagement, a wedding, if you had a trip, and someone was able to come as a plus one, or someone was able to come through word of mouth through a mutual, or if someone just is getting an invitation from you directly, it's like a big honor. All right. So with golden ticket, this talks about people feeling like you may have gotten a big break in life. So there's something about viral energy or fame or just being very popular or being well known where people feel like you got very lucky in life. You are considered a very lucky person. People feel like when they meet you, it is a turning point in their life, okay, of meeting someone of status, of notoriety, of fame. People feel like you are someone who's very successful, and this is what they talk about. They talk about you being someone who is very special and unique and unlike anyone else. They talk about very like having very magical experiences from being around you or being invited to places that you're in the building. They also talk about you being extraordinary, so very unique, very special. They talk about how being around you is like a major opportunity. There's a lot of admiration for what you were able to achieve in your life or to just the type of person you are. Again, you do make people very nervous to be around you. It's almost like they don't want to say the wrong things and not be invited back out or not see you again. They want to make really great first impressions when they come towards you. So that's what people are talking about. And they talk about how lucky you are to maybe like live a certain lifestyle, or if you're super beautiful or handsome, wow, you're blessed with great genes, or maybe you have a really great relationship. Maybe you have like, the highly sought after career or business. So people really see that you were able to make it out of like, the rat race or the slums. Or you were able to make it out of like the everyday norm and you're living a very extraordinary type of lifestyle. All right. So that is the golden ticket here. People really feel like you are a once in a lifetime type of person, that they don't come across anyone like you ever. And so it's a very, unique experience being around you. People always also talk about maybe your relationship, if you are coupled up or if you're married. People talk about your relationship. They feel like you lucked up by your spouse or your partner. They may feel like you have a very special connection or bond with this person. They may feel like it's a very positive connection. If you're single, people do talk about how they would love to date you, okay, with the ring. This is an energy of people feeling like they already have promised themselves to you as they meet you. There's an energy of feeling like, they're entering a very special cycle in their life when they come across you. They want to be in your circle of trust. So there's a lot of people who want to be like one of your close friends or your closest family member, or they want to be so lucky to have this really strong bond with you. Okay. These people also feel like you have done really well in life because you must have really good karma, or you are able to reap what you sowed. So you could be like a tremendous person who treat people well, is what people have heard about you or seen. They may feel like you played your cards right. You did what you were supposed to do in your life, and that's maybe why you're so successful or happy. So yeah, that's the ring here. But I do feel like people really want to be in some type of partnership or just be in your circle, in your inner circle. There's this energy or fantasy of having that between you and them. All right. So like I said, it's juicy, I guess, if this is shocking you, but it's not really. There's nothing bad or ugly here. It's very, very positive. And it's really like a lot of respect and admiration for pile number one. On top of that, we have the Be Decisive card. With this card, I feel like people feel and they talk about how you know what you want out of life. You're not someone who has a hard time with indecision. It doesn't take you long to decide what you want. You could be someone, if you go out with your friends and everybody's like, where should we eat? What club should we go to? What lounge should we go to? What store should we go to? What area should we drive to? You're the one who makes that decision for everyone, and you don't feel any type of way about it. It's like you don't get caught up in other people's emotions of like, what do they want to do? You kind of can prioritize what you want and everyone will follow the lead. And it's not a bad thing. It's more so like just being very decisive and not being caught up in indecision. They may feel like you also are very sure of yourself, very self-assured. So that gives you the confidence to make decisions in life very early on. You could know what you want out of life. You could know what you want out of life for your path, your destiny, in your romantic life, in your friendships, your family life, your legacy. You're not looking for guidance. That's what people think, and that's what they say. Okay. I feel like everybody does feel lost in life in some part, but it does take a very special person to be the self starter or the self activator. And it feels like people recognize that you have that quality. We have the sun here. Okay. So the sun is such a compliment because people say that you exude a lot of positivity. You're a positive person. You want the best for others. You want the best for yourself. You make positive decisions. You could always be happy or laughing or very like happy go lucky. They may also see that you are the center of attention or the main character with the sun. There's also people talk about how young you look with the sun, okay? Because that is very youthful energy. So there's a certain innocence in how you are aging, which, also attributes to the good person that you are. Because, you know, just like how they say, no rest for the wicked, okay? There's no bags under your eyes. Your skin is really youthful. You may not have cellulite, you may not have wrinkles, you may not have the pimples, the acne. And there's something very beautiful about your aesthetic that just shines about your inner self, like how beautiful you are on the inside. All right, what else am I getting with the sun here? Sun is also visibility and confidence. So you have no problem standing out from the crowd, speaking out, going public, being in the public, showing yourself, taking pictures, being a frequent on social media, and people really admire and respect that. People also can talk about what you post on social media. I feel like there's a lot of people who see what you're posting and they like to talk about it. This is where you went to. This is the trip they're on. This is what they wore. Did you see what they posted? Did you see the food? Do you see the restaurant that they went to? You have like influencer energy that people can talk about. People may say, man, I really like that outfit that they're wearing. Did you see that outfit? Did you see their shoes? Okay. So there's something about that as well. With the sun too is an energy of yes. So again, there's that energy of being lucky that people talk about, how doors are always opening for you, how you always get lucky every time they tune into your life or see what you're doing something great. You are a success. You just keep climbing the ladder in life in whatever way. All right, so the sun is here. All right, and now for this deck, which is very interesting, we have the Seven of Pentacles, we have the Ace of Cups, and we have the Page of Swords. Okay. You are a very, very likable person. People talk about you like in a positive way of how you're very patient as well. So I don't know what that's about, but there could have been a time that you did go somewhere with other people and maybe there was like a long wait and maybe other people were getting upset or anxious about it. And you could have been very calm and patient with that Seven of Pentacles. There's an energy of you not rushing things, okay? You allow things to come to you in divine timing with that Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles also lets me know that people have to be very patient, maybe to get close to you, that it's not an overnight thing. You have very organic relationships in your life that are made out of respect and values, and it takes time to really build them authentically and organically. So people really recognize that. People may also talk about how they feel like it's there's slow progress to getting close to you. Okay, so a lot of people want to be close to you and want to be in your inner circle. They may say that they don't think that you consider them as close and it's taking some time. It definitely is like an act of progress here with the Seven of Pentacles. Tell me about the Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles for pile number one. I told you it's very positive, and you're very likable with the Ace of Cups. People like fall for you right off the bat. People want to be your friend right off the bat. People want to date you right off the bat. People develop feelings for you from just even the first impression. All right, tell me about the Seven of Pentacles here. All right. There's people here who are still trying to get into your inner circle. I don't know what that's about. All right. Two of Wands is here. And we also have the Three of Pentacles, okay? So there's this energy of being like steady progress or consistency with you. Maybe people trying to keep in contact with you. They'll probably say things like, you know, I've been texting pile number one, or I've been calling pile number one, but I just don't feel like I'm in the door yet. I just don't feel like I'm getting close to them as I want to. And there's a consistency. So people could consistently treat you very nicely, admire you consistently. It feels like people don't really switch up on you. You have such a positive energy that if anyone did switch up on you, it would be clearly envy. And with the Two of Wands, this is like choosing up. So there's certain people who, I also get this energy of like people talk to you about people that they're already close with. So there could be someone who has a best friend and then they meet you however they do, and now they want to be your friend, and they could talk their best friend head off about you. And that person could feel a little like, but I'm right here. You're trying to get their attention, but I'm right here. Okay. Same thing goes for people who could be in relationships. They could talk their spouse or their partner's head off about you in some way that kind of makes them a little uncomfortable. That Two of Wands could be choosing up. So it's like where you feel like the grass is greener. People are willing to drop what they got going on just to be in cahoots with you. Two of Wands also is plan and strategy. So there's like this plan to getting close to you. And part of that plan has something to do with, consistency here. People are always going to be generous to you or give to you in an act of trying to get close to you here. And people talk about this. They talk about how they've been reaching out and they speak to you. It's almost like bragging rights as well, to say like, oh yeah, I just text so and so. I just talked to them the other day, or I just seen them at this party the other day. So people really brag about how they're consistently communicating with you. They consistently see you. They're in the same rooms as you, something like that. And there's also this energy where people see you as the grass is greener. So there's a lot of bragging on you or bragging about being around you. Okay. But I see that people also talk about how, they don't really know where they stand with you, because even if they're being consistent on their part, they feel like you're someone who takes your time to open up that door of closeness. All right. Again, with that circle of trust, it takes you time to really trust people to that amount. And you may have just a selective few people that you do give that to. You do have the Ace of Cups here. Tell me about the Ace of Cups. Hold on. I want to know more about that Seven of Pentacles. It's a little bit like, it's kind of like fan behavior. I'm not going to lie, but I want to see what else you can tell me about that. Tell me about the Seven of Pentacles for pile number one. I see that people are like asking for advice on how to get closer to you, how to speed up the process. We have coach here and we have aid. Okay. So there's people who feel like they're trying their best to get close to you. If this is like work related, people, your colleagues may talk about how they're trying their best to collaborate with you. If this is romantically, there could be someone who's trying their best to open up that romantic door between you two. And they ask people who are already close to them advice on how to get closer to you. And this could spite some of the people that they're close to, like their family, their friends, maybe even a lover. It's like, why are you trying to get so close to pile number one when you have me? I should be enough. But a lot of people see you as their grass is greener, as that shiny object that they want to conquer and claim. Okay. So it's just very interesting. It does give kind of like groupie energy. All right. We have the Ace of Cups here. You are very likable right off the bat. Let's see what this means and what people are saying about that. People are just saying, like, if they met you for the first time, they're telling people, like, I really like pile number one. And it's one of those things where they're already like falling for you, or they're already smitten by you, whether that's platonically or romantically. They have good things to say after their first impression with you. Tell me about, and they want to develop something deeper. So even if someone just met you through a mutual, maybe at an event, a party, it's like they're saying like, oh, I really like pal number one. Oh, do you have their Instagram? Do you have their social media? Do you have their number? I would like to connect. Okay. Tell me about Ace of Cups. Yeah, you are like so popular, okay? You are so popular in everyone's eyes. You are the idea of success for a lot of people. A lot of people are inspired by you. You give like influencer energy. You may spark something within people. Remember, I said something about fan behavior. It really gives that with this card here. And you're just a likable person. You are the people's choice. And they talk about this, you know? People may spread around your good news before you even get the chance to do it, okay? People also, they if they take pictures with you, they're posting that and they can't wait to tag you. And it could be a little weird because, like, I just met that person randomly. I don't even know them like that, but they want to have that within their feed. Okay. There's something about your reputation that precedes you, and there's a lot of good things that people have to say about you. And I think part of that also is like you don't really get into the mix with the Seven of Pentacles. You are out there, you're social, you're doing your thing, but you're not looking to be at every event, every party. You're not looking to be in every social circle. You're just doing your own thing here. And it feels like life could be very positive for you from what people are seeing. And you could be really enjoying, you know, your luck. Okay. What else can you tell me for pile number one with the Ace of Cups? Yeah, Page of Pentacles, you know, people want to move forward with you, whatever that means, whether that's friendship or love or even family bonds, maybe, you know, people that are not that close to you, or even in business, but they feel like they're missing like the it factor. Because the Page of Pentacles is the energy of being the student, and they look to you as a leader. So they may feel like they don't have what it takes to sit at your table, and they talk about this. You know, they may ask things or talk about things that they need to brush up on some skills, some talents, maybe their own personality. What do they need to do and get better at to kind of have a seat at your table? They also could talk about how they can tell that you're not someone who just makes friends overnight, or you're not someone who commits overnight. You know, with that Page of Pentacles, that could be someone who's a little bit of a skeptic or not easily ready to invest. And yeah, what else can you tell me about that? What else are people saying about pile number one with the Ace of Cups? Again, there's this embarrassment of and this intimidation of wondering if they're good enough for you and probably asking those things because we have bully here, right? So this is like someone who feels like they're not cool. They're not cool enough to sit with you. And they talk about this, which is so interesting to me. We also have vow here, which means that they wish to have a closeness with you. They wish to be in your close friends. They want to be invited to the parties. They want to be invited to the trip that you're planning, you know? And they're talking to people, asking a lot of advice on how to do this. Maybe what you like, you know? Even if someone's getting invited to your birthday, but they're not necessarily your friend. They could be maybe one of your close friend. They're like asking like, what should I buy this person? What's going to wow them? What's going to make them feel special? I want to buy them something very unique. And then your best friend is side eyeing them because they're like, bitch, you ain't buy me. You didn't even, you know, stress about what you needed to buy me for my birthday. So it puts people in a weird place. And it almost feels like the people who are closest to you do catch on to this energy and almost want to gatekeep you. I don't know if you ever felt that, okay? Like they are the enforcers that hold that access towards you, and they're very like selective themselves about who to bring around you. You could start to notice that, especially during the summer season. All right. And last card we have here is the Page of Swords. So again, people just watch you and gossip and talk about you, but it's all positive things. Okay. You are the center of attention here. You are hot on the press. People are definitely watching you and speaking about you behind your back. There's a lot of intimidation about asking you certain things in your face or saying certain things to your face. It's one of those things with the Page of Swords that I realized lately. That Page of Swords is like, I'm not feeling comfortable to maybe ask you the information I want to know to your face. So I'm going to do my research behind the scenes. And that's a lot of people who encounter you. They can't wait for someone to bring up your name, then they can talk about all the things that they feel like is a mystery that they're so excited to talk about. But it's in a positive way. It's not to tear you down. It's not to talk shit. It's in a way of admiration and just wanting to get to know you more because they're stuck or they're starstruck over you. Tell me about the Page of Swords here. What can you tell me about the Page of Swords for pile number one? I'm really amazed. I'm like, who is this that I'm reading for right now? You are just the it factor. Okay. All right. Tell me about the Page of Swords and what are people saying with that Page of Swords? And you see how all of these pages are coming out. You really make people feel inferior. But again, it's not that you're doing this purposely and it's not in a negative way. They just kind of have respect for who you are and who you've built yourself to be, this amazing person. Okay, so what else? Okay, interesting. There is a lot of talk about maybe your car or how you travel, okay? Because we have the Chariot here, and also what you do for work, what you do to make money, whether you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, or you work, a job, you have a job, you have a career. There's a lot of talks about that, but also could be a lot of talks about your car as well, whether you have a really nice car or the way that you travel or your transportation. Something about transportation, even if you feel like your car is not really that impressive, there could have been some type of situation that happened. Like, say you had to go to a wedding and then you rode in like a luxury car because you were part of the party. Or say, when you went out of the country and you had a nice car that you rode in and you took video or footage of this, or maybe you jet skied when you were out, or how you travel. Maybe you travel in a very luxurious way. There's something about travel. There's something about a car that people are talking about, but in a positive. And also your career and what you do for work and how you could be moving on up. You're making a lot of progress or headway with that. We also have the Ten of Wands here as well. People are asking about your struggles, and it's a way of like, does this person go through anything at all? Because it seems like they're living the life. It seems like they're so lucky. They're living a very positive, lifestyle. And so people really want to know if you had any hardships or struggles. And I feel like that's the only messy message that I have here for you out of your whole reading. Okay. So people want to know, have you ever struggled in life? Have you had it hard ever since birth? That's like a question that people want to talk about. All right. Tell me about the Page of Swords here. What else does pile number one need to know about that? Yeah. Okay. There's something here where, even if your life is going in a great direction with the Chariot, or if your career or business is going in a great direction, or even if you have afforded some nice travels, this is like not something that you're overly thrilled about. It's just something that you're not even thinking about this anymore. It's something of the past, or it's not something that you show off even. Okay. There's also energy of like people do gossip about you when you don't do that in return. So you are really focused on yourself. You have this energy of me time. You could be very comfortable or leisurely. You could be in an energy of relaxation, and people are speaking about you. Could be currently. If you're like literally relaxing watching this video, I do feel like people could be talking about you right now. People also, want to feed some type of fantasy when it comes to your struggles because again, I just feel like this whole pile is not negative. It's one of those like because you do have so much success, or you lead a very positive and abundant life. Whether you have the great relationship, you have the great career, whether you're financially doing very well for yourself, if you have the energy of adventure and thrill, if you're just someone who really lives life to the fullest, there's almost like people want some type of come up story, even if that was not your path ahead. You may have been able to have a really nice life because not only did you situate certain things for yourself to make life easy, maybe your lineage before you has done that. And so there's like people want this come up story. They want to know that, you used to live on the side of the road, and then one day you decided to change your life, and that's why life is so beautiful for you. They want to know, what have you been through? They want to know that your relationship was going to shit in the past, and now you and your person finally got things together. They want to know that come up, right? Because to them, they cannot fathom that maybe you have been able to live this very constant or beautiful life, by just doing well for yourself. And also, people do not know maybe your struggles because everybody has ups and downs. Maybe you're someone who has great emotional regulation. You have great resilience that even when you do go through your toughest challenges, you don't wear it on your sleeve and you keep pushing forward. You work hard. So it's like people want to know this come up story that they could be making up in their head about how life turned around for you. And most of that is just projection and people wanting to feel like they relate to you. Because again, a lot of your pile is that you're unrelatable based off of you just being high and mighty and doing well for yourself. So people must want to relate to you and pull you back down to earth where they could be. Okay. So a lot of it is just a lot of speculation, but it's not based on truth. It could be in their head. They made it up, like Michael Jackson said. Okay. All right, pile number 1, that is your reading. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys so much. Please make sure to like the video, comment down below, let me know what resonated for you. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I do post pick a cards all the time, so definitely stay tuned for that. All right, guys, bye. All right, guys, I hope that you enjoyed that reading, but what I gave you is only the surface. There's so much more sitting underneath, the part that they're holding back even from themselves. That's exactly why I made an extended reading for every pile. What they're not saying out loud goes deeper into the real thoughts, the unspoken feelings, and what's really going on behind their silence. If you felt that pull, then that's your sign. The link is in the description box just above the timestamps. All right, I'll see you on the other side. All right, pile number 2, welcome to your reading. So guys, this is for those of you who felt called to pick the pile that is the ear whisperer. All right, based off of that, I do feel, okay, I hate to say this, but I do feel like a lot of people who talk about you are the people that are closest to you, the people who are in the room with you, okay? I also feel like there is this energy of loyalty behind who's been talking because no one's really saying anything. It's like they keep good secrets. Okay. So, take that as you will. So let me go ahead and reveal your cards here. I have 3 different decks that I'm going to be using for this reading, and let's see what came out. Okay. All right. Let's see what I have here for pile number 2. All right. Okay. Well, let's start. Let me show you the first deck that I have here. You have uprooted for what people are saying about you at this time. And you also have torch here. All right. So with uprooted, I do feel like people are talking about how your life could have changed very drastically and you had to make some sudden changes, or things could have even been forced for you. But also with the uprooted, there's an energy of like when you uproot a plant, it's like a fully grown plant that's displaced to maybe another garden. So it's almost like even though you had some sudden changes, the universe did bless you with resources or bless you with opportunities so that you weren't left out high and dry. Okay. So people do recognize that, yes, something unfortunate could have happened in your life, but they also see that you landed on your feet perfectly, or you're able to do so much better, or maybe that change was really destined for you. And they don't see you as someone who folded. You have incredible resilience. You're able to bounce back from that hardship that you could have went through, and you're thriving. Okay, you're thriving now. So usually when someone's doing really good in life, people always want to talk about the bad things. And it feels like a lot of people are giving you your props about how great you're doing, but they also want to bring up where you came from, what you've come from, what you transitioned out of, okay? They can't talk about the good with you without bringing up the bad just to cut you down a size, all right? So feels like even if these are people that you're really close to, there could be some insecurities that are going on in their own lives if they have not been uprooted, if they haven't had the deep struggles that you went through, and still not being in the same place that you are currently. All right, so I just want to say that. But uprooted here talks about you having a radical break from your past, going through some deep changes. They talk about how you had a sudden interruption in your life, that you were displaced. They talk about how you could have had a big transformation, a big glow up. So you have a total makeover. Um, I hate to bring this up because I brought up this show in the last pick a card, but I have to say something that's kind of relatable. But if you watch Love Island and you've seen that girl, I think her name is Melanie, beautiful, beautiful girl, and people started bringing up her past of when she was a bigger woman, okay, and weight wise, and how she looks, they say drastically different from when she looked in the past. I don't think so. I think she looks the same, same beautiful. She was beautiful before, beautiful now. But there's something about wanting to bring up your past just to, you know, definitely put in there like you're doing great, but they weren't always doing so great. Or, they didn't look like this in the past. They look great now. They're so handsome. They're so beautiful now. Their body is amazing now, but that's not what they look like in the past. Okay. So, some hateration. And people can talk about how you went through some type of separation, maybe from a major relationship or maybe from your family. You also had to go through a forced change, like we talked about. They talk about how you had definitely some opportunities at your door, even when you went through this change. So you weren't left high and dry. You had some element of luck or some fate or destiny, which makes sense because you could have went through some tower moments, but those tower moments, those reality checks, they come when the universe really doesn't want you to continue going on, not knowing that something is going to inevitably end for you anyway. So even though it could have been some sacrifices, some hardships, it really was putting a good person into a good environment or a good person into a good opportunity. Like you deserved more. And you have that now. Okay. So they talk about that. They also talk about how you could have recently moved, or you're not from the city, you're not from the state, you're not from this country. Okay. So I don't know why that matters, but people do talk about that. People also talk about you as being the torch. So you have this energy of the phoenix rising. You're able to turn darkness into light. You went through hard times and now you made a positive out of it. People talk about how you went through some type of revolution. They talk about how brave you are and you have incredible strength and resilience and how you're able to bounce back from hard times. They talk about how you're fully engaged with your new lifestyle. So, if you were going through a hard time and you felt really stagnant and stuck in the past, this new lifestyle, this new life, this new relationship, you're really not taking it for granted and you're getting up every day and you're thriving in it. They talk about how you're able to forge ahead, that you have some type of freedom. Maybe in the past you felt, again, stuck, stagnant, or you could have been literally bound or controlled in some way and you found your freedom from that. They see you as someone who stands up for the truth. And they talk about that. They talk about how bold you are. You can be very bold. They talk about how passionate you are. You could be someone who really believes in justice for individuals. You could have some type of social reform energy about yourself. You stand up for what's right. You also treat people very fairly. And yeah, that is the torch, okay? Now, people also say the Hierophant about you. And they say the Knight of Pentacles about you. All right. So with that Hierophant, people may talk about how you were able to get some guidance or a mentor, or there's some type of higher up or elder that you could have relied on, or maybe you utilized their wisdom, their experiences to kind of put that into your own life and move forward. They could also talk about your religion or your dogma, your belief system. There's something that you're really faithful to. They can talk about how structured you are, how disciplined you are. You really have a certain routine that you don't stray from. and you really have to stay there, okay? You could be someone who dealt with a lot of temptations. You were either in the wrong environments, you maybe hung around the wrong people, you could have had certain vices or habits that were not for your highest good. And you could be into some type of structure right now that helps you to not drift away from the goodness that you've afforded yourself in life. And that is very admirable, okay? Also, with the Hierophant, they may talk about you being a traditionalist. Maybe you were very unconventional in the past, or you were a little bit of a rebel, and now you're just a little bit more traditional. And you could be following some type of norms that could be so different from what people used to see about you. So they talk about that. They can talk about your commitment to your values, commitment to your goals, commitment in your relationship. And for some reason, people are talking about how that was a big drastic change from where you used to be. Okay. We also have the Knight of Pentacles here. So they feel like you're very self assured, and they talk about how you're self assured, you have great self value or self worth. They can talk about how confident you are these days. Maybe in the past, they felt like you weren't confident, and they talk about how you could have been a little insecure, but now you have found that confidence again. They talk about how reliable and dependable you are, how you're committed to long-term goals. You don't give up on long-term goals. Something about your commitment, like you're committed to seeing something through. You don't stray. You're not bending in some type of way. Now, the really, really admirable thing that people talk about with you is that you are guaranteed for success. They know that you're going to be the next big thing. They know that you're going to be wealthy. They know that you're going to amount to a lot of success. Okay. People know that. Knight of Pentacles is a guarantee to that thing that may take a little bit more time, that, requires a little bit more patience, but it's guaranteed to happen in someone's life. So whether that's in your career, whether that's like, if you have a goal of meeting a really beautiful partner and, settling down, if you are committed to being a great parent, if you're committed to your business, if you're committed to a certain lifestyle, they see that you're not going to stray from that, and they see that you're going to have it based off of your discipline and, just being accountable every day, being responsible. There's a great deal of responsibility that you have here that people see. People also may talk about the nice things that you were able to afford yourself. And they talk about how that is so different from what they remember about you in the past. Okay. But good for you. I feel like you're doing some great things here. All right. If you made a drastic change of your religion or your spiritual beliefs, people do talk about that. I believe like when you really get into spirituality, like anyone who watches tarot, or if you're into divination, or if you're into a certain craft, and it really is like some type of spiritual hygiene that you keep up with, it becomes a ritual for you. When people are not used to that, and also when they don't know what that means, they can speculate, and it can be a little weird for them, right? When for you, it's very normal. So there's something about your belief system, your spiritual practices that people talk about often. And what I see most of the times, especially for the spiritual community, people who are not in the community, they talk about it a lot, either bad or just out of curiosity, because they really want to be a part. Okay. So there's that. So if you're the spiritual friend and you have people around you who are not, they really have this level of curiosity of wanting to try that themselves, but they may not have the bravery to do that, to go through that transition, because it really is a journey, right? And okay, sorry. I don't, the dog is barking. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear that, because um, I'm going to put a noise reducer on this. So I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear it, but if you did or if you didn't, that's what was happening just now. Okay. All right. So other than that, your other deck here shows that people say that you are the Seven of Wands. They also say that you are the Queen of Pentacles. And you're the Nine of Pentacles. Okay. Very admirable, like very respectable and honorable energy that people are saying. Now, with that Seven of Wands, people see that you've had to prove yourself over and over and over again. Maybe prove yourself to your family, prove yourself in your relationship, prove yourself against, society's adversities. You had to prove yourself. There's also an energy of like in the past, people didn't think that you would amount to what you are now. And so you always had to prove yourself. People would just never give you the benefit of the doubt. People would never just be rooting for you. If anything, a lot of people were, you know, trying to see if you were going to crash and burn. So there's a lot of talks about how you were able to move past that. And people also amount that to your commitment to your faith, your religion, or your spirituality here, even with this card, as you can see. Okay. Also, you're really hard to keep up with because the Seven of Wands is like, I'm not letting anyone, come onto my pedestal. I'm fighting for my spot. So you have been able to maintain a certain spot, maybe in your career, maybe when it comes to the respect that you have been trying to fight for or you fought hard for, or I don't know, something that you're really great at, that you're really talented or skilled in, something about your respect, and that you had to fight for, that you're not folding and no one could even topple you. Even if you had competitors, enemies, rivals, they all kind of fell to the wayside. And I feel like a big part of that is your consistency. People can speculate all they want, but consistency trumps all. Okay. Doesn't matter if you're the most popping person right now, but if you're not consistent, you can fall to the wayside. So there's something about that people talk about. Let me clarify that card as well for you. Tell me about the Seven of Wands for pile number 2. I feel your religion, your spirituality saved you. Okay. I feel like it saved you in a really tough time. And it was because of your faith too that you were able to stay optimistic about your circumstances when things weren't so well and why you were blessed so highly as well during that time. All right. Tell me about the Seven of Wands for what people say about pile number 2. All right. People definitely gossip about this. Ooh. People gossip about this and they speculate a ton because we have the Page of Swords here. Page of Swords is like when someone doesn't want to, and this card I feel like is going to come out a lot because it came out for pile number 1. But it makes sense for this type of reading because it's literally gossip and people talking about you, okay? But the Page of Swords is one of those energies where someone could be sitting before you and they don't have the balls, the guts, they don't have the, they could be so intimidated that they don't ask you the questions that they are curious about. And so they either speculate or they ask other people. And that's what's happening when it comes to something that you've been able to withstand, something that you're able to maintain even through a hard time. People don't get it. You could have been going through a hard time financially, but you're able to still keep up maybe the assets that you worked hard for. You were able to keep up this job or this position, even as people in the economy is changing and a lot of people are being laid off, So people are just very curious about that, but it's like they don't have the balls to ask you to your face. So they gossip and they try to figure out who has this information. And it also, again, could be about your career. Whoever I'm speaking to, too, some of you are business owners and people don't know how you were able to maintain your business even when you went through the hardest time. They're wondering why you didn't eventually give up and just go find a regular job. Now, there's nothing about finding a job. Careers are amazing as well. But specifically for those of you that I'm speaking to that are entrepreneurs or businessmen, businesswomen, they really wonder how you were able to maintain your business when the economy probably went down or when you were going through a rough time, or maybe you did have to sacrifice other things to keep your business open. And people just don't even know how you were able to maintain it through that, how you were so strong to do that. All right. Also, if you are a spouse, if you're a wife or a husband, people are wondering how you were able to maintain your household, maintain your relationship, maybe when you or your spouse went through a hard time as well, and they like to talk about that. It feels like you're stepping into this chapter where you're going to be thriving in whatever that aspect is of the Queen of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles could be like good standing in society. So even though you went through certain things, you still are, there's still a lot of rooms that you're able to walk into with your head held high. You still have great connections around you. You still have nice things around you. You're able to afford a very leisurely life. You also could be someone who's really good with your resources. You know how to save, you know how to budget, you know how to organize your lifestyle to bend or to adapt to however your life is going. And people talk about that. Okay. So, Queen of Pentacles here. And what's interesting too is that your next card is also the Queen of Pentacles. So, you're very admirable, very respectable. You also have great behavior. So, if you had behavioral issues in the past, okay, whatever that means, if you had some mental episodes, if you were acting a fool, if you used to curse people out, okay, I don't know. There's something about your behavior that has really been constant and consistent that people are just like, is that the real them? Because who they used to be in the past, they used to act a fool, tomfoolery, okay? Let me clarify this even deeper. Tell me about that Seven of Wands. What are people saying about pile number two? Tell me about that Seven of Wands. Yeah, it's commitment. You have incredible commitment to your changes that you've made. And you've been able to keep it up where maybe they've seen other people who commit for a couple of months and they go back to their old ways. You have not done that. So it's almost like people are looking for a crack in your perfect vase or vase, and it's just not there. You can look under a microscope, you can get a telescope. You could sit there and examine the vase for 24 hours. You're not going to find that crack because you were able to commit through what you've been through to change your circumstances. All right. Queen of Pentacles, again, I already talked about this, but I feel like people just admire you and respect you for your standing in society. You're standing at your job with your family. You're well respected, even if you have made some mistakes in the past. You were able to redeem yourself in a very beautiful way that has been constant for you. I feel like you make also great wifey or husband material. Okay, so people see that about you. You're an incredible businesswoman or businessman or business owner. You do, numbers in your career. You're able to move up that ladder. And you also are really great with your money and your assets. So when you show that you're a great steward of your finances, you're blessed with more finances. When the universe, when your higher power sees that you're able to maintain your gifts and your blessings, they multiply. So I feel like you were able to do that maybe during a time when people were showing off and spending crazy and splurging. You could have been saving and living below your means and trying to stay comfortable. And it has really paid off for you in a very big way. There could be some hater energy towards that. Okay. Based off of choices that you made that they could have made at the same time, but they chose differently. You have this energy that, I definitely feel like you've had to really discipline yourself to be able to get the blessings in your life. You could have that you're this person that for unfortunately for you, but also fortunately for you, good things could have came for you later in your life versus when you were in your youth or you were adolescent. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It definitely gives hard work over time and consistency that can be a little tiring. But the good thing is that once you are able to get these blessings, you'll be at the age or maturity, or you would have had the experience to maintain these blessings. And it's long lasting, it has longevity versus someone who could have been blessed all at once early on in their life, maybe didn't have the experience or maturity to keep it up, and then they have to fight later in life to try to make it happen again. So yes, your story was definitely different from other people, and you've had a longer time to be able to get the blessings of your labors, but as you're growing older, you're learning how that is a big blessing. Okay, tell me about the Queen of Pentacles. Also, you know what else I'm getting about people who are talking about you? People who used to like talk crap about you and your circumstances are now in shock and admiration of your today's circumstances. People could have talked crap about you maybe when you're in college or when you're in high school or maybe when you're just figuring your life out and thinking you weren't going to be anything. And now the tables have turned. Okay. So I'll just leave it there. Tell me about the Queen of Pentacles, please. Yeah, Two of Wands. You are definitely living a lifestyle that people want, okay? Because the Two of Wands is like the grass is greener. So I wish I could live like pile number two. I wish I could have a relationship like pile number two. I wish, I would have made choices like pile number two to be able to afford what they're able to have at this time. You also have judgment here. So people feel like you know your calling in life. Like, sometimes when you go through those hard times, it's pushing you onto your right path. And even having this card of uprooted, you went through your hardships, but you made that commitment to change. You went through a transition that you didn't resist, and it landed you right into your destiny. And that's what I'm seeing here with the judgment. People feel like you took some type of second chance in life and you made numbers with it, okay? People feel like you had a wake up call and you really did your shit, and it's so different from who you used to be. And it's very interesting. I always feel like also like God blesses the people who have a lot of adversities. God will bless the person who acted a fool versus the person who tries to act like they ain't do nothing wrong. Sometimes the people who may have been the outcast in life get blessed the most. And it's really an example that God likes to utilize. So I see that happening for you here. What are people saying about that? What are people saying about pile number two with the Queen of Pentacles? Oh, hmm. There's, again, remember what I said about people closest to you kind of whispering or, saying little things about you. So we have friendship here. So definitely your friends could be the ones who are gossiping a lot or talking about you the most. I mean, that's kind of normal. Your friends and family should talk about you the most, the people who are around you. But there's an energy of like, people playing the victim when it comes to comparing themselves to you. I could have had everything that they had, but they did worse than me. And look at my life. And I haven't been blessed the same way. So it's a little bit of jealousy or envy that I'm seeing here. And people playing the victim when they had the same 24 hours as Beyonce. Okay. They had the same year, 365 to commit to their goals just like you did, but they chose not to, or that just wasn't the theme of their life at that time, whoever. But there's a lot of people playing the victim here, and even as you're shining brightly, they want to bring up your past to kind of like discredit what you have been able to afford yourself now. Nine of Pentacles is also what people have been saying. The Nine of Pentacles is like, the nice home that someone worked really hard to be able to afford. And there's nice furniture and they have a nice garden. And, they have the nice patio that they can relax every evening with their glass of wine. So people talk about your nice things. And part of that is also your home. Could be your car, could be the clothes that you wear, your nice robes, okay? People talk about the nice things because Nine of Pentacles is also a card of luxury and leisurely energy. People may talk about how you have a lot of freedom or free time, that you don't work as hard, which is you have worked hard. That's why you do have this free time, okay? Also, people talk about in a positive way how mature you are, your wisdom. Okay, you are very mature. You had a lot of growth in your life as well with that Nine of Pentacles. People also may talk about your independence. You are that friend who doesn't necessarily need to check in every day. You are, the lover that in your relationship, you and your person lead separate lives and you guys come together at the end of the day, but you guys are individuals in your relationship. You could be the single who is not necessarily hung up over meeting someone. If it happens, it happens. And you definitely have a standard of the type of person who can meet you at your table. So people talk about that. Now let's see. Tell me about the Nine of Pentacles. Anything else with that? All right. We have the Star. And we have the King of Cups. There's something about your shiny objects or your shiny things that people really talk about. The nice things that you were able to afford yourself here. Also, I do see you as a humanitarian. So people do talk about your humanitarian efforts, your social reform efforts. If you give back to people, if you're very generous in that way. People talk about maybe your aesthetics. So with the Nine of Pentacles to the Star, you could be someone who you stay with your hair and your nails done. You stay at the barber shop. You always got a fresh cut, maybe more often than other people go. You could be the person who really likes massages. You could be the person who likes to go to the spa, get your aesthetics done. You could be someone who has plastic surgery, okay? So people do talk about that and how you keep yourself up. What else do I want to say with the Star? There's also something about your hygiene, like your in your health. So you can afford more luxurious services or treatments than maybe people are able to afford through their insurance. Okay, you could be the one who goes and outsource specialists for certain health regimens or treatments than other people. There's something also about your shower. Do you have a nice shower? You may have like a spa type bathroom. You may have a jetted tub, a garden tub. I don't know. There's something about your bath or your shower. Maybe even the products that you keep. You may have a nice array of scrubs. You have great lotions and body butters. You have luxurious body washes or body soaps. You may use an African sponge, or you may have like what is it called? I forget what it's called. It's a scrub sponge, but it's like Mediterranean. You may use that. You may have like a shower routine that's very extravagant, okay? Something about your shower, or maybe you're someone who has like a jacuzzi in your backyard or something. People have been talking about that. I know that sounds a little creepy, but they do, okay? I'm not kidding. All right, people talk about how extravagant you're living, especially when it comes to your hygiene. You don't play about your hygiene. You also could be like someone like dentally, your teeth is very important to you. So something about like having a water floss, and people talk about that. What people are basically saying is that you are bougie, okay, and you do a lot to keep up your aesthetic. So that could be the shade. Whatever, that's not shade to me. That's a blessing, right? We also have the King of Cups here. People may say that you have great hospitality. When they come over your home, they feel like they're staying at a hotel. You do the most. You greet them with drinks and maybe a charcuterie board. You turn on, like, maybe you have seat warmers. You're a great host. You're very generous. You're very genuine. You offer a lot. If you have parties, you will offer people who may need it to spend the night. You have a extravagant guest bedroom. You have the monogram towels. Okay, something like that. So there's something about your hospitality here with that Nine of Pentacles, Virgo energy, and that King of Cups that you really do the most for people. And something also about your drinking. Okay, maybe you used to be a big drinker, but I see that people realize that you're not as big of a drinker as you were in the past. That you are someone that if you go out, or even if you have people over, or if you go to a party or event, you have a cutoff. Okay, so maybe one drink, two drinks, or you don't drink at all, while other people may be indulging. You could be someone who they've seen throw out a drink, instead of drinking it before going home. So you have something about moderation when it comes to your drinking, or you may have just quit cold turkey. All right, what else can you tell me about this? Also, too, there's something about the trash, right? People have seen you throw away things that they wanted. I don't know what that's about. If you throwing out like old, I don't know, old like plates, maybe a friend came over, you're throwing out old plates, you bought new ones. They feel like, oh my God, those were such nice plates. You should have donated them or gave them to me. So there's something about the trash, and you like trash something that was not of value to you, or you were maybe organizing, decluttering, and people feel like you were wasteful. I don't know. This could even be food. I don't know. All right, tell me about the Nine of Pentacles. This is like such petty, like conversation. Okay. All right. So again, something about your home, people feel like they really love. It is something that should, be in a magazine. You have done extremely well. What people don't see is that you worked extremely hard to be able to afford the leisurely things in life, whether those are your nice things, that's your freedom. If you're able to move up the ladder and you now have more freedom from work, when it comes to your assets, your belongings, you worked really hard for that. People may talk about this, but sometimes they may leave this out, okay? And we also have promise here as well. So, promise is all about commitment. So, there was a commitment to changing your circumstances. You became someone who's super responsible, and that has allowed you to live very nicely. And people may just see you as very responsible, even with the thing of people saying like maybe you don't drink anymore, or you don't really drink a lot at all. You may drink, very tiny, teeny weeny. There's something about your responsibility of just not being led by temptation so that you can stay on the straight and narrow and maintain what you have afforded yourself. All right, guys. So that's what I have for you, pile number 2. That is what people are currently saying about you. Make sure to like the video and comment down below. Let me know which parts resonated for you. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here, because I do post pick a card readings all the time. So I would love to have you. And yeah, until next time, guys. All right, bye. All right, guys. I hope that you enjoyed that reading. But what I gave you is only the surface. There's so much more sitting underneath, the part that they're holding back even from themselves. That's exactly why I made an extended reading for every pile. What they're not saying out loud goes deeper into the real thoughts, the unspoken feelings, and what's really going on behind their silence. If you felt that pull, then that's your sign. The link is in the description box just above the timestamps. All right, I'll see you on the other side. Hi, pile number 3. All right, guys, welcome to your reading. This will be about This will be what people are saying about you currently. And this is for those of you who felt called to the, don't tell image, okay? Now, with you guys picking that image, I do feel like, people are really, really defensive about what gets back to you, okay? When people talk about you, whether it's in a positive light or a negative light, they really do not want it to be repeated. They do not want it to get back to you. It's almost this energy, too, of the people who are speaking about you. They kind of like, I see like a lock over their mouth. Like they don't want to give up information. They don't want to be a part of the conversation. They don't want to talk about it, because if it got out, and whatever your reaction would be or how that would change the dynamic of the connection, it would be mortifying, or I don't know. There's like this energy of like not wanting to step on your toes, not wanting to, rub you the wrong way. You could be the cutoff queen or king that I'm speaking to. You could have a low tolerance for people gossiping about you, and you take that very seriously. So I feel like maybe you've had some definitely like a lot of pain with that. Maybe you feel like you can't trust a lot of people. You may feel like the people closest to you have done you wrong when it comes to gossip. And so the people who are talking about you, they make people swear like on their life and their children and their house. They put their house up for collateral that they're not going to repeat what they say about you to anyone. Keep it a secret. This doesn't leave this room. This doesn't leave these text messages. Delete these messages after I send this to you. There's like this a fear of you finding out what they say. So those of you who felt called to the don't tell, like that is taken very seriously. Okay, so people really tread lightly when it comes to gossip about you, period. And there's something about your business, like you don't like your business being told, even the positive things, even the wins in your life. You could be highly protective of that, and the people around you know that. So if they are talking about you, it's very seldom to none, or they are like fearful. Okay, they're fearful. If you look at them wrong and they've been talking about you, like their heart stops. And then they're like, what? And you're like, you didn't tell me you bought that new shirt. And they're like, oh my God, I almost just shit my pants. All right, pile number 3. Let's see what came out for you. I do have 3 different decks that I pulled from for each pile. So let's see what came out for your pile here. Okay. All right. And just like every other pile that we have here, there's not a lot of negative things. Okay. So I don't know if you guys are just positive people on my channel or whoever felt called to this reading. There's just more positive things and there's very little negative things. Like I thought this reading would be more juicy, but I just got to go with the flow. Okay. So let me show you what came out for you in this first deck. We have the butterfly. And we also have the house. All right. I don't know why I'm getting this about the butterfly, but there's something about how like you have gotten even more beautiful over time, or you have gotten like even more handsome over time. There's something about you being a very, very, very adorable or cute baby. And so even the people that have been around you when you were born, whether you know these people or you don't, they've always knew that you were going to be something unique or special, or even they would say, wow, that's going to be a cutie pie. You know, that's going to be someone who grows up very beautiful, very handsome. So I don't know. There's something about like you really have grown to be a very beautiful energy. Okay. Now, with the butterfly being here, this is all about metamorphosis. So, you know, there's been some changes that happened, but you have sprouted into something beautiful. They feel like with time, you have just gotten greater with time. They feel like you are a very open person, and they talk about this, how you are very open. You could be someone who is just, you know, a talker, or you're extroverted when you meet people. You don't give off a closed off energy. You could be selective about what you share, but you would rather it come from your mouth versus other people's mouth. Okay. So there's like, you know, yes, don't talk about my business, but if I talk about it, then it's cool. So people talk about how open you are, like you share, you know, the good things in your life, you share even the bad things, but you would just rather it come out your mouth versus someone else. That could be where you draw the line. They talk about how you embrace change. You could have went through some changes recently and you have embraced that change. You didn't fight it. You could be very adaptable. They also talk about how you had an evolution of your soul. So, you know, you could have went through the dark night of the soul and you have come out even better with time, or just going through that. You could have done a lot of healing. You just have changed a lot, but into a very beautiful person. That's just what I keep getting. All right. You are also an inspiration. So people talk about how you have inspired them, how you've helped them to grow and change themselves. They talk about how you have rose up, okay, from the ashes, or you rose up really nicely. You grew up very nicely. They also talk about how you reinvented yourself. Okay. So again, maybe going through some type of situation or a chapter in your life that you really didn't like, and you changed it up in some ways. You made some changes. You put in the effort, the hard work, you were consistent, and you were able to reinvent yourself to being something much more than what people would think. Like, of course, the people who saw you as a baby, I feel like people always knew something was special about you, but people who may have met you through the stages of your life may not have known of your greatness at that time, and you have created something great out of yourself, your identity, through time. All right, so butterfly. And also with butterfly, I'm also getting like butterfly effect. So you have had some very like interesting chain of events that have unlocked major opportunities for you, or just has switched up your life in a very beautiful way. You know, like maybe you traveled overseas for school instead of going to school in your hometown, and people didn't really know about that decision, but you were able to make something out of yourself that people were just very shocked by. You know, maybe you got laid off from work and then you just started a bakery. You started baking because that's something that you're really good at. And now you have a storefront that's thriving. So there's something about like a chain of events that really unlocked your life, unlocked bigger chapters of your life really fast, that could shock people, and they talk about. People also talk about you being the house. Okay. So, with the house, this is the energy of you having a very homely spirit. You make people feel at home. You have this incredible power of making people feel very comfortable, where people really want to be close to you. They don't want to stray away from you. You could be the type of person that a lot of people from your past come back into your life for reconciliation. Okay, they always find their way back home. They feel like they belong. You make people feel like they belong. You have a certain energy of relatability. Again, with being open, you share things maybe to relate to people, to make people feel better about their circumstances. And that's something that they never forget and that they talk about. People talk about your roots and where you came from. Okay, so your background, maybe your race, your culture, your ancestry. There's something about that people like to talk about. So that's interesting. People also talk about how safe you make them feel. They talk about your family. Okay, so your family is definitely a topic of discussion for whatever reason. They also talk about maybe some traditions that they have learned from you or they experienced through you. They may talk about how you're structured or you structured your life in a certain way or some type of foundation that you've been able to build or that was passed down to you. They also talk about how you have sheltered them from something. So you could be a very protective energy. You look out for people, you help people through hard times. So people have definitely used you or utilized you for shelter. Maybe you had a friend who just showed up at your door and you let them sleep on your couch for a long time. Maybe you took in someone's pet or child at one time. Okay, so there's something about shelter. And people also say that you have very strong boundaries. And if you cross those boundaries, then you'll be missing. And I think that's why these people who are talking about you, whether it's good or bad, they are very fearful of it getting back to you because those boundaries are strong. All right. So that's what we have from the first deck. Your second deck, we have the Six of Pentacles. And we also have the Two of Cups. And I want to say, guys, this is the second deck. The third deck, we also have the Two of Cups again. All right. So this is a very strong theme that people talk about when it comes to you. With that Six of Pentacles being here, people talk about how you are very open to sharing what you have, the good things that you have. You know, you're very generous. You're someone who will give the shirt off your back to someone. You let people borrow things and then you allow them to keep it. You could be very generous with your money. You're very generous with your time, with your affection, your love. You're just a very generous person. You're always looking out. You're willing to share. You're not stingy. You're not selfish. And people do talk about how you have been generous in their lives or given them things when they were in need. People can talk about how you have helped people in need. Maybe you help the less fortunate, people who may, be in a struggle at a certain time. So people talk about your generosity here. People also may talk about, with the Six of Pentacles to the Two of Cups, how you end up in partnerships or relationships or business connections or friendships with very generous people. Like, throughout the years, whoever you've dated or whoever you ended up with in marriage or a deep commitment have been very generous souls, and that you're very lucky to be able to meet those people. So it's almost one of those energies where like attracts like, and it feels like, the boyfriends, the girlfriends that you've had over the years, your husband, your wife, maybe your best of friends are also very generous people, and they talk about that. With that Two of Cups, people feel like you're a soulmate, and they talk about that, okay? They can talk about how special you are to them, how they feel deeply about you, how they have this strong attraction to you. They probably can't put a name on it, why they feel that way with that Two of Cups. People talk about the relationship that they have towards you, how they met you, what you mean to them, okay? A lot of people talk about that as well. Also, too, people could talk about the crushes they have on you. So I'm getting to, like, you have secret admirers that are friends, okay? Even if they're same sex, I do get that. So there's people who have talked about the crushes that they have on you, that you may not be privy to or you are privy to. Or even if they don't openly say that they have a crush on you or they want to take things romantically, other people pick up on it based off of how adoring they speak about you. They're like, wait, that's kind of crossing the line a little bit. Okay, so the Two of Cups is here. And yeah, also too, there's an energy of your nervousness, like anxiety or nervousness that people talk about. Like you could be the sweetest person, the most generous person. You're likable, obviously, with the Two of Cups, but you have like an awkwardness to you, okay, where you just get awkward. I don't know why. Why so awkward? Let's see. Tell me about the Two of Cups here. There's an awkwardness that you have, like look at this. Like this person is like wanting to kiss them, they kiss them, and this person's like acting a little awkward and they're shocked. Okay, so there's something about you have being very shocked by how people feel about you, and then you get awkward about it. Let's see, what is that about? It doesn't feel like a shyness, it's like awkward. Like you don't know how to maybe express your feelings, or you have a hard time even accepting people's feelings and their love. It's just kind of awkward. And it kind of goes hand in hand with the house of having these boundaries. So I don't know. Think about the Two of Cups for pile number 3. Yeah, Four of Cups. You could be a little awkward when it comes to your emotions, pile number 3. Okay. Sometimes people give you the ick, even the people closest to you, and they know that and they talk about it. They talk about how, if you came over and you hung out, that was a weird experience. It was awkward. Even when I tried to talk to them, it was awkward. When I hung out, when I hugged them, it kind of was awkward. It felt weird. Okay. They could talk about how they wonder if it's tension, if you're upset with them, or, if you're just an awkward individual sometimes, especially when it comes to your emotions. There's something about your emotions that, I don't know. I feel like something with your emotions, something did not fulfill you in your past emotionally. So you could have grew up in a household where you weren't shown a lot of emotion, or you were told to toughen up really quickly, or maybe you had a relationship where you felt like emotionally it did a number on you. But there's something about like how emotions really don't fulfill you in that way. Like, like, okay, for example, like if you had relationships, you may have that person who likes to do PDA and they like to hold your hand and they like to have their arm in yours, and that doesn't do anything for you. Okay, that like maybe you get your love language is different from that. And the Four of Cups is just you kind of being like, you have an energy of rejecting people that people feel and they talk about, or people feel like they give you the ick sometimes by being too much. Okay, so that's interesting, and people definitely have talked about that. So for this last deck, again, we have the Two of Cups. People really feel like you're a soulmate. And also, too, what I get with that Two of Cups coming out like so much, people really, I feel like people talk about, okay, so with that Two of Cups, it's like a partnership. It's one on one, right? And for you, there's people in your life who want to be your favorite parent. And there's people in your life who want to be your favorite sibling, and they want to be your favorite friend, and they want to be your one and only lover. So there could be a lot of conversation about people like almost being possessive over you. All right, like claiming their territory with this Two of Cups coming out twice. People feel really strong bonds to you, and they want it to be mutual, okay? Because maybe they don't feel this way about other people, and they talk about this. They could talk in a very possessive way over you. They can talk about the height of your connection versus other people who may have connections to you. Okay, so there's this sense of authority with that. Clarify the Two of Cups again. Clarify the Two of Cups for pile number 3 again. All right, Ace of Wands. Yeah. And the Eight of Swords. Okay, what does this look like? Eight of Swords is all about control. So they try to control maybe like, who you connect with. They could be very possessive over you in a certain way. Okay. And there's this energy of not wanting to self sabotage their closeness to you, their proximity to you. All right. So you have people here who are very possessive of you with that Eight of Swords. Also, people can get possessive really quickly because we have the Ace of Wands here. Also, with that Ace of Wands, this is like instant connection. People talk about how they instantly connected with you. They instantly felt like you were a soulmate. They instantly felt like you guys are going to be great friends. They instantly felt like you guys were going to go into business together. They instantly felt like you were going to be their favorite coworker. Okay. So there's like this instant energy with the Ace of Wands. Also, Ace of Wands can be like a sexual energy that people feel about you. So again, you could be this type of person that certain people who are close to you in your life often want to blend the lines into a sexual place, or friends want to blend the lines and become your lover. All right. So there's like a strong attraction here physically. You are very beautiful or handsome with the butterfly, but I do feel like people talk about your looks a lot. And they also could talk about like their attraction to you, to where if it is a friend and people hear your friend saying these things about you, they think that's your lover. Okay. So I'm definitely seeing that. And I'm also seeing like a very possessive energy with that Eight of Swords, where people want to keep you in close proximity. All right. What else can you tell me here about what they're saying about pile number 3? Again, there's this energy where people don't know where they stand with you. They may feel like they put their foot in their mouth, or they self sabotage having a strong connection with you. People could have stepped on your toes sometimes and they could feel it. So we have apology here. So people may talk about how they feel guilt about certain things that they are doing. Also felt like tremendous guilt about whoever is talking about you. Like they do not like to talk about you. They know that that's like can get them in a lot of trouble. So there's almost like this guilt that people feel sometimes. And there's also this energy of like confessing to other people their guilt, or confessing that they want forgiveness from you. We also have mask here as well. So people really just don't know where they stand with you. They feel like you wear a mask, like you are, I don't know, that awkwardness kind of goes hand in hand with that. People can talk about like they don't know if you're happy with them. They don't know if you feel the same way, if it's mutual, the attraction or the connection, the bond. They don't know if you think of them as highly. So they do talk about this, but there's also a guilt about speaking their feelings, and also not wanting to do anything that's going to damage the connection, already feeling like there's some type of tension. Okay. We have the Magician here. Magician is, saying that people say that you're very mysterious, but you also have a very magnetic aura. When you walk into the room, you have mad aura, and you do give main character. When you walk into a room, people's heads turn to you. People want to know who you are. So you kind of just give that vibe, but also you're very mysterious with that Magician. They also may feel like, they could have manifested you into their life. So they could talk about how you are a soulmate or a twin flame. They could talk also about how you manifest very easily, or everything that you have manifested or wanted, it actually comes into your reality. It comes into existence. So you're able to bring your visualizations or your fantasies into your real life. You're a great manifester. Okay. They also may talk about how you utilize all resources in your life to get what you want. So the Magician. In a negative, people may also talk about how you could be a little manipulative. All right, with the Magician. Let's clarify that Magician and see what that means. Tell me about the Magician here. There's some type of magic that people feel like you have or possess within you, that you're able to manifest things really easily, better than the average person. Tell me about the Magician here. Or you're able to manipulate situations into your favor. All right, there's something about like the things that have disappointed you in life. You're able to turn it into your favor. Okay. So I don't know, like, even if there's, say you were dating someone and something bad happened, maybe they stopped communicating, maybe this person was just very stagnant with you and you could have been heartbroken or sad. People talk about how you were able to turn that around. Like this person comes back into your life begging, or this person wants to reconcile, or now this person is chasing you. So things like that. If you're disappointed in your career, you were able to manifest an even higher paying job or business idea that turned into something lucrative. Okay. If you have been just hurt by family, maybe you were able to find a very beautiful chosen family or create your own abundant family. So things that have disappointed you, people are saying that you're able to turn it into some type of joy or turn it in your favor. And you have things to celebrate, even though you went through that hardship. You're able to come out on the other side better, or you're able to turn or manipulate unfavorable situations into favorable ones. And also, when it comes to parties, people talk about you at parties. Okay, especially with that magician. Again, magician is like that person that nobody knows that walks into the room, but they have that magnetic aura and everybody's turning their head and they're whispering, who is that? And who invited that person? And who knows that person? So at parties, you are talked about very heavily. And I wonder, do you feel that? When you go to parties, when you go to events, you go to weddings, baby showers, when you go to birthday parties, birthday dinners, when you go to the club, the lounge, the bar, people are talking about you in the vicinity. Okay, I do see that here with the Magician and the Three of Cups. That's probably when people are talking about you the most in one setting. Okay. Tell me about the Magician here. What does pile number 3 need to know about the Magician and what people are saying about them? All right. So again, there's this energy of you going through some type of hardships or disappointments or even being heartbroken by things, but it's not your outcome. Your outcome actually turns around to be good news, or you're able to still achieve whatever it was that felt like a disappointment. And it's never like your story never ends at something bad. You're always able to turn things around in your favor. It feels like magic, like you're conjuring up some type of spell, in your closet to make things work, because things always go your way. Even if you suffered some type of disappointment, you always have the last laugh, okay? And that's what people are talking about. And last but not least, we have the Eight of Pentacles here. All right. So I definitely feel like people talk about how you like to be in charge, because people talk about your perfectionist attitude. So you naturally feel like you can do things better than other people. And I feel like for the most part you can, because the Eight of Pentacles is a master. And you always take charge of situations because you feel like you can execute it the best. People may talk about, like, you could be the one who takes over maybe planning something. You can take over the schedule of something. You could take over, you come over to people's, territory, and you kind of take over their trap. Okay. And you also put things together very well. You're just very well practiced in that way. You probably throw the best parties, or you throw the best trips, or you buy the best gifts for people because you have great attention to detail. And people do talk about that. People could talk about your work as well. So whatever you do for work, whatever you do to make money, you execute it very well, and you're a master. You're seen as a master in some type of industry or field, and people are talking about that. All right. But also, people say that you may have a little bit of OCD, or you're a perfectionist. And you could be also a little picky. Okay. With that Eight of Pentacles, you have like a picky attitude. You're the type of person, you're not going to eat everybody's food. Okay. You're the type of person that, like, you have a certain choice about what you want. So if it's not that, then more than likely you're not really satisfied. Okay. And people do talk about that with you. All right. What's the Eight of Pentacles here? What's the Eight of Pentacles? Tell me about the Eight of Pentacles for pile number 3. What are people saying about that Eight of Pentacles? All right. Page of Swords. This is what people talk about the most. Okay. Page of Swords and the King of Swords. Ooh. Okay. So you're very, very strict about, executing things and systems and structures. You like to take charge and take lead, and you don't have an issue maybe taking over someone's thing, even if you're not asked. You'll just kind of like, offer, or you'll just do it. And you are very picky. You also have like I don't know how to say this, like almost like a curator's eye or an artist's eye. So, almost like someone who can see that a picture is not totally, what's the word? Aligned. You pick up on the small details. And you also have an energy of like knowing that you can do certain things better. Maybe you talk about that a lot, and now people are talking about that. People just say you're kind of like a perfectionist. You have a perfectionist attitude, but you're very strict on it. You also could be very selective or very picky. So, people can tell when you're not pleased with something because you may think that it's like in poor taste, or you may think that, what do I want to say? It's just not the best of the best. Okay. People know when you're unsatisfied or when something gives you the ick. You don't hide it well. And people talk about this. Oh, okay. Let's see. Tell me about that. So you could be a little bit of a critic, and people talk about your criticism. Tell me about the Eight of Pentacles. What do people say about this? You also could be highly protective over your work as well. All right. What I'm seeing here is that when you are the most picky or critic energy is when you are highly stressed. So people also know that if you're picking something apart, or if you're a little bit more choosy or selective, you could be very stressed. People may know that's when you're going through a tough time, or you may just have a lot on your plate. Okay. But people also feel like they could learn a lot from you based off of your criticism, because they do end up learning a lot. They learn how to do things better. Okay, because it kind of gives like that energy of like Virgo, like you leave no stone unturned, and you're just able to really show people where they could kind of do better, or what they could have decorated better, how they could have organized better, how they could have cooked something better. It could be a little annoying is what I'm seeing, because people do not talk about this in a positive light, but they also feel like they gained a lot of information, they gained a lot of wisdom, they gained a lot of experience by learning from the master. Okay, so you're a very strict master, and people talk about this, but they also know that there's things that they have gained from it as well. All right, so that's what I have for you, pile number 3. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it. Make sure to like the video before you go. Comment down below. Let me know what resonates for you. And subscribe to my channel if you're new here, because I do post a lot of pick a card readings that you don't want to miss. With that being said, guys, I will see you in the next one. All right, bye. All right, guys, I hope that you enjoyed that reading. But what I gave you is only the surface. There's so much more sitting underneath, the part that they're holding back even from themselves. That's exactly why I made an extended reading for every pile. What they're not saying out loud goes deeper into the real thoughts, the unspoken feelings, and what's really going on behind their silence. If you felt that pull, then that's your sign. The link is in the description box just above the timestamps. All right, I'll see you on the other side.